Good afternoon, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. Today we're at 4752 Southeast 34th Avenue. Down in the basement, going through a 4-inch cast iron cleanout. We're going to check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. We do have water running, and it is zeroed out. Off we go. One's transitioning here. This appears to be a CIPP or epoxy lined pipe here. It appears to be 4-inch diameter. Now we're transitioning to 6-inch concrete here. That liner may have been a reduced size. Usually it's 6-inch pipe outside. I think they may have put a 4-inch liner in the 6-inch pipe. And we'll locate the transition as we come out to make sure they took that repair all the way to the street edge. When we reach the main lateral connection here at about 66 feet, we're going to let the whole line drain out here for a moment. In fact, we're going to pull back to the transition joint and locate there first. That'll tell us what street everything's going out to and whether that repair was taken all the way to the end of homeowner responsibility. The part in the road out here, in fact, I think we will let this drain out. This pipe out here looks very, very beat up. As I'm sitting there letting this drain out here, when I pull back, I don't know if we'll actually get a decent view of the flow line. There's so much buildup. Just looking at the condition of the concrete and the parts I can see here, your pipe bottom is either gone or it is extremely rough. You've got dirt and gravel coming into the line. Half that junk that's sitting in front of the camera right there is rocks and dirt. So I would certainly inform the city of this. This is going to be in the roadway in their responsibility. But it's causing a lot of debris to pile up there, and at some point down the road may cause a backup. But you've got huge pieces of rock coming into the line. So I think the bottom of the flow line there is probably completely gone at this point. We're going to go locate here just to see if the update was taken to the street edge or not. I located the camera head successfully there. It looks like we're just past the street curb, so the epoxy liner was taken to the end of homeowner responsibility. So all the concrete pipe here is within city responsibility. And I mean, the first bit of it is certainly showing some wear. It's that last 4 or 5 feet where you really have problems going on. Just based on the size of the rocks and all the dirt in there, my assumption is that the whole bottom of the pipe is rotted out or eaten away and is completely open to the ground. You sometimes can get that kind of stuff migrating through separated pipe joints, but I didn't see any that were that gaping open. I think it's the bottom of the pipe. So, and the city often wants to know about those. more than tiny little root intrusions, that's, I can guarantee you that you're losing sewage out into the ground around the sewer line, which can lead to some issues over time. The street settling, sinkholes, stuff like that. And so far, this epoxy liner that was done looks great. It's all in good shape, intact. None of it has delaminated away from the old line. But yeah, I think what happened, you can see how this is basically a flush transition here. A lot of cities allow you, normal pipe from this age, it would go from 4-inch cast iron to 6-inch concrete. I think what they did there was shot a 4-inch liner down a 6-inch pipe. So that's why it's now a flush transition and not a big bell out. Now your flow line here is in the cast iron is starting to channel. You can see how there's a trough in the flow line. It is not perforated through thus far, at least the stuff I've been past here so far. But what that is generally is where the metal becomes eaten away over time. There's really no rust scaling inside this cast iron. Aside from the flow line, the sidewalls of the pipe look very smooth without any rust. The reason that's important is sometimes you can get some thick rust scaling going on in the flow line. It will mimic that same look. The camera will scrape a bunch of rust out of the flow line and kind of create the appearance. But generally, when you've got that going on, the sidewalls of the pipe are going to be covered in rust scaling. So anyhow, the metal in the cast iron here is being eaten away. It is not perforated through, but it's on its way there. You've got some valleys in that are getting, you know, at least a 1/4 inch, if not more, deep. And there's only so much pipe to go before you rot straight through into the ground. So as it sits right now, the pipe is not perforated, but I am going to recommend updating the cast iron because it's already well into channeling at this point in time. Yeah, so if repairs are not done, I would keep an eye on this line. I'd be rescoping it probably every year. It's hard to predict how fast that rotting process will take place, but it's already well underway here. So if repairs are not done, rescope the line periodically and keep an eye on things. And because this is 4-inch cast iron, at least it appears to be, you can likely do an epoxy liner on this stuff as well. You'd have to do some reinstatement of some drain tie-ins. There's only a couple, I think, beyond the clean out. But that's a method you could use to update without having to dig. Now, I don't really have anything with me here that I can mark the floor with, but basically almost all the cast iron, for the exception of a little bit at the end, is on the interior of the house. You're going to have some extends outside the house, but like where these tie-ins are right here, that's a spot where you'd have to call it reinstatement. They have to bore a hole through the sidewall of the liner. That's if you choose to go that route. You can do this by trench and just cut the floor open however you want to do it. That's just a method you could use to do it trenchlessly. So we're going to go ahead and reel the camera out of the sewer line here. I'll push back out to get a total length. And make sure you're not using stuff like Drano on cast iron. That if you ever get a clog, try and do a mechanical clog removal. That cast iron is not terribly chemically stable. So things that are acidic tend to eat at it. When it's already troughed or channeled out like that, it's just going to speed that process up. But out to 22 feet there is where I'd recommend updating the cast iron. Again, as it sits now, it is not perforated through. But from an inspection standpoint, as far as that's channeled there, I'd like to see it updated. If not, make sure you're planning to do an update on this line. Probably in the next few years. It may go beyond that. It's really hard to predict. But it's already channeled its way through probably at least half the thickness of the pipe wall. And it is the line right now, it is currently functioning. There's no major buildup that's occurring there. And it's another issue that can happen when the trough or the channel starts getting deeper, is debris will get stuck down into it. And a portion of your water flow will then sit down in that little trough rather than right in the flow line. So you have less contact with the debris. So the water is not able to carry things quite as nicely. So it's a little bit more prone to clogging. But as it sits right now, this is a very clean line here, at least the first the cast iron and the CIPP line stuff. There's no buildup associated with it, but just try and, if you're not going to do a repair on it right out of the gate, I would be, again, rescope it every year to keep an eye on things. And try not to put things like paper towels and tampons, stuff like that down the line. That channel makes it for a more jagged pipe bottom, and it's more likely to cause debris to collect. But that pipe there is functioning at this time. How much longer it'll go for is hard to say.